Yo, morning. Um, no plan for this stream right now. Um, just got the store launched last night. Stayed up way too late editing photos for no reason. Um, yeah, figured I'd just jump on, try and make a regular thing of this. Um, figure out why audio is not going through Streamlabs, but I think you can hear me, but you can't hear anything else. But important. As long as you can't hear music if I play it. But yeah, let me get my stupid face off here. So, in case you didn't know, launched the store last night. It's been live for a while, but um haven't really talked about it in any sort of capacity. Been interesting. I put out a code. I still have to do the newsletter, which I'll probably do today at some point. Um just realizing my voice is like all jacked up. I literally just like roll out of bed, ready to do like a smooth jazz radio station. Coffee should help. Yeah, it's been interesting watching the review, um, or like the response to it. I think it's been positive, but it's again one of those things like, you know, like, oh, once people find out, like they'll be like, oh shit, like let me jump on there and let me get some like software, some resources or shit. Like, no one cares. Like, I don't think I've seen one sale since promoting it. Which is, I don't know, it's all fascinating to me. Um, it's good to get it out there, and I think it's just going to be a matter of like it's going to be a numbers game. I really have to build out all the products that I need. Um, like the resources is really flimsy. I just took one down, which I think I need to publish right now. So I realized like it's just totally fucked. So the one I'm talking about is the where is it? The starter file, which has been super useful, but I've been just finding out more and more stuff. It's a good exercise for me regardless, but um if I could spell, no, where did it go? Source. This one I still have to do. Project template. Yeah. Shit like this could be useful. Um Organizing folder structures, XMit, like all that kind of shit, super useful, but 2 days in a row. Yeah, to be honest, I'm back. Just rolled out of bed, jumped on stream for better or worse. So temper expectations on this one. It's kind of like an AMA sort of thing. Like I have that other branding project I was talking about yesterday, but there's some red flags in how it's conversations we've been having of let's just do this and we'll figure it out later. It's like no, I don't have the time to just like aimlessly work on branding and come up with a brand for something just to be like, oh yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's like you want something now. He's a very good friend and someone I think could benefit from just a simple like he's got just no sort of brand. Like anyone would be helpful, but he's kind of getting in his own way a little bit. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm cruising. I was thinking maybe music production. There's things with the store I want to do, but I think I've just been on this fucking thing forever. I was hoping branding would be today, but I'm just not gonna put energy to it. Um, all right, and Jonas, thank you. Store is looking awesome, you said. It's getting there. There's so many things like it's interesting learning the back end of like all these collection limitations and all the things with like F and Suite you can do with CMS. Yeah, I want to get to it eventually. This page needs to be redone too. I don't know what to do about it. Yeah, if you guys have any questions. I thought like I was like, oh shit, I don't really have a plan. I'll go on there and I'll figure it out. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now. I could do photos, videos, music production. I definitely want like I gotta like build out the store catalog. Um like content populations, I think would just bore people to tears. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not gonna do any more website work. I think you guys had a fair shake of that. Really want to do music production. I have to work on the font. I have to finish the singer project that's staring at me that I'm just trying to ignore right now. Almost want to fire up live. Just embarrass the hell out of myself. Maybe someone will ask questions and I'll save myself. Or I could start working on the serif font. Maybe that's a better. Let's go ahead and fire that. Hey, music. I haven't done music production for a while. There's a little like collaboration I need to work on, but it's like ambient type stuff. Very slow. Old pianos and yeah, ambient sound. Let's not do that. Hey, first time here. Hey, welcome, Nicholas. Thanks for coming through and for the kind words. Appreciate it. Can you explain your design process for web, where you get your inspiration and steps you do? Way too much mainstream website. Yeah, so I'm trying to keep the web weird. That's sort of my thing. You could art like, which it's a weird thing I'm grappling with. I'm like trying to make my site weird, my brand weird, but I have to figure out how to land on a design I'm happy with first. That's where like getting into like content that's a little bit more weird. I don't know, like weird, different. My process. So, let's see. I mean, everything for me starts with just like visual inspiration. So, um, there's all sorts of thing. I mean, I'm trying to think of like a specific project. Um, I mean, it's like this branding project coming up. Well, I guess that's branding. You asked about web. Web stuff specifically. So Behance honestly is like a big source of inspiration. Um, I'm a lurker. I think I have 2 posts. I posted one photo series and then I was a part of like this pattern library forever ago. But I'm on here almost all the time. Um, Kind of where I live on this site is graphic design, editorial. Like the amount of just like unique shit that goes on in here um is just fascinating. So this is to like spark ideas for layouts and stuff like that. I mean it really depends on the project. If I'm doing full like art direction, then I'm much more in like the Pinterest world where I'll just I'll make a board and I'll just start like I'll either like spin off of my own board. So I have like this no ISO board, which is just kind of like I'll just browse and whenever I find stuff that's interesting, I'll just post it here. And sometimes I'll just like knowing the project in the back of my mind and kind of like the realm I want to take it, I'll just like spin off of something here. So it's um oh, it wants to be like kind of vintage. No, let's see if there's a better example. and it's going to end up being a lot of like editorial. But there's, I mean, like setting art direction in general is that's a whole other because then you get into like visual language too, so it's like starting to look at like visual motifs and stuff like that. Because I think that's the like that to me is like where you're talking about like the mainstream web is like I think there's just like a like it's devoid of any sort of like branding or like typical art direction. Like in the traditional like brand sense, like it's kind of just like here's the interface, here it is, it's we're using a different typeface this time, or it's not thinking about like visual metaphors that are conveying the brand. Um, that's kind of how I approach it, and that's where like it's fun to like get weird and do like strange stuff, but it's got to be grounded in like what people are looking for, or what like that brand's looking for. Like how are you going to help that brand? Like yeah, because a lot of people they chase weird, but it's just irrelevant. And then you have a site that it's beautiful and it's weird, but it doesn't make any sense for what is going on. Um, that happens a lot. You'll see the site is like, "Oh, what happened to that site?" And it's like, "It was beautiful," and it's like, "Yeah, it didn't work for shit." Like it's a business at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm kind of like my thoughts right now are not very linear. Um, so yeah, it's like it's kind of picking up on like different themes and different like visual elements. Um, looking at like I'll do like word association for different brands, and it's like okay, they need to be like classical. They need to be like have like a heritage feel, but they want like a little modern edge, but they're talking to this demographic, and that's like the base level stuff. And when it gets into layout, it's more just like um the thing with web for me right now is like there's only so many ways to skin a cat, and I'm seeing web. I mean, it's so mature at this point that it's hard to like if you really want to do like innovative stuff, like I don't know if web's the medium anymore. I think that maybe I'm just burnt out on it a little bit because I've just been stuck doing such narrow stuff, and like working with the cathedral folk is like reinvigorating that a little bit. But even I don't know, some of the projects I find myself on, like I'm just not. I don't know. And this is probably not a great answer. Like kind of a defeatist mentality when it comes to web design right now. Um, but yeah, really terrible answer. I realize, Nicholas. So I guess like getting back to like web specific. So when it comes to like interaction designs, um, I'll do like rough mocks and like basically keyframes of like the flow. So if there's something with like immersive interactions, I'll just sort of like think about like, okay, starts here, you interact with this, and then you do this. And I'll kind of leave those things lingering for a while. It's kind of a problem that I'm trying to sort through. It would be like, here's the beginning, here's the end, and like how you get there, like it's kind of ambiguous. Like I don't really know. I know there's a way, but I have to bridge that gap somehow. And so I kind of keep that on the back burner, and it's one of those things where you want to think through like every eventuality, every hard reality, and it can be super overwhelming sometimes where it's just like I feel locked, like I don't know what to do to get this to go from point A to point B. Like this needs to do this needs to go there. Like how do you transition the content from here to here? Um I wish I could show some projects that are more immersive. Um I mean, there's the Ari project. I could pull up some, see if I can pull up some old stuff. That was like mid-process. Yeah, fuck it. Let's see. Let's see. Just want to Stream Deck. Yeah, fuck it. We'll do some desktop streaming for a second. Only live once. Yeah. So Ari's was like, we had a tentative framework. Like I was off exploring, and then Ari had this idea for the panels, and so that kind of started informing. It's like, okay, so I flipped the panels vertically, but I started looking at like how you get through different states, like what is the passive animation, and I'll do a lot of like iterative type things where this is essentially the same screen, but um, it's like, oh, what if we try like a vertical slider here? What if we try moving the type here? And like so I'll just like spin off of ideas, and that's why I like Sketch. That's why I mean, Sketch, Figma, anything that's like artboard related, like I can just quickly start like spooling off of ideas, and I'll just chase things down. Like I don't know if it's really gonna work, but I'll just try it. And I think, and for some people that makes people uncomfortable just to have something that's just like a failure. Like it doesn't fucking work at all. Like I think like if you look through this board, there's a lot of things where it's like, wow, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Partially true, but you can see like there's different ideas that just start taking form, and then it's like as I start working through those ideas, I get to a point where it's like I realize that doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? How do I fix that? And it's like, okay, let me just literally duplicate this over here and then fix whatever I need to do. It's like, oh, I don't know, like this, let's try it in the middle or something like that and have like this center focus of the UI, and then like I don't know, like we don't have enough clear space for this, or this doesn't scale, and it's just kind of like this really iterative process and trying to chase down um, something that works. Because that's, I think there's a lot of designers out there, like this is the problem with me in a lot of ways. Like I might get something right the first time, but the probability is super fucking low. Like I know people who are just like in their head, they're like, this is how it's gonna work. They just move in a very linear fashion, but I mean, if you need proof, I mean, this isn't even the craziest one by a long shot. I don't even know. Like, this is the whole Ari process. That's nothing. Really? Skeleton? Um, projects? Sorts of shit. Trying to think if I can like, if I have any examples of like where I'm problem solving. This is like one of the alts. It's like grid view. Oh, this is just different states. This is when we had grid view. But it's like even identifying like this overlap here has becomes a problem. So I think that's something that was started here. No, it's just the first state. This is just different states. I don't know if I really have a great example. This is just one I know I can show, and it's more recent. Here's everything. There's some crazy fucking board somewhere. I guess I just stole them all down. Yeah, it kind of becomes like this like interesting, I don't know, in some way interesting, of like starting with this and it's like, oh, what if we add color? What if we mess with the logo? And it's like, oh, okay, like that's getting somewhere interesting. What if we change colors? What if we just go like really big type and make it this full scrolling experience? What does that scrolling experience look like? What if we get really crazy and just make everything kind of interlocked with each other? What if play with hierarchy? What if we have a ton of negative space? Just want to like separate it. What if we use crazy colors? What if I do an edible and just get weird? Like this is kind of where like I'll just explore ideas, and it's like you'll see like some things just stop. As I'm making my way through, there's things that just don't survive. It's like that was an interesting idea, but it's not something I think that's worth pursuing. It looks weird or it just doesn't work functionally. So um this is my way of distilling down. And so then like it was like I think like around somewhere in this process is where like I just chatted with Ari, started sending him some JPEGs, and he's like, no, like simple. We want something that's like single screen. Like, okay. And so how do I solve that? And it's like, well, I have different transitions in. Um, what if I try and just like this is kind of like the start of the idea for that grid that I had. What if I try different colors? What if how do I display this stuff? So this is like the iterations that start going on. It's like, oh shit, like wonder if we like have it offset with like larger titles, and it's like, no, that doesn't really work very well. What if we just have the grid bigger? Like this is I think you probably get the point. It's like I'm just gonna very iteratively work my way through things. I don't know if that's helpful. I can't see the chat right now because Streamlabs is hidden. I haven't seen this stuff for a minute. But yeah. And this is why like I change things all the time, and probably why my website's just this thing that just won't die, that I can't get away from. Because it's so iterative, like I don't like when it's projects for other people, like I can hand it off. There's something weird about my own stuff where it's like, nah, I can make that better. And like I don't always. Sometimes I go backwards. Chrome browsing. Saw that project, just amazing. Well, thank you, Nicholas. Appreciate it. Yeah, that one, like, it was a fun one. I mean, it's just working with someone who's just crazy smart. I mean, this is where it all ended up. But yeah, like where it could have gone, so many different places. Hate that Turbo project. Oh, he updated it. This guy doing his own colors. Look at you go, Ari. Yeah, this is a fun one. But hopefully that helps. I mean, feel free to like ask questions off of that. I know that's like a really long random rant tangent filled sort of journey. Just was gonna ask the same question about branding. Oh yeah, I mean, kind of like tiptoed into it a little bit. Branding, like it's so I'm getting more into the branding world these days. That's way more of interest. Um, I don't know if I'll be able to show someday the stuff I'm doing with Cathedral. Um, got a branding project. Actually, my second branding project. I don't know if I'll ever be able to show the first one. Second one, much bigger, but um, yeah, it's like it's a it's a very it's very similar to doing like art direction on the web. It's just taken to another level and like digging deeper and like distilling things down even further and just totally starting from scratch. Like a lot of times, like if you're at an agency and you're doing art direction, there's always like not always. Oftentimes there's like an existing brand, there's a brand book that they're attached to, there's a logo they're attached to, um there's a tone of voice that they have like photography styles, like all that stuff, like you're kind of working around and you're trying to like a lot of times if you're doing art direction, they use the web as like an opportunity to evolve the brand and kind of, make some improvements. Um but with this, it's like nothing's set, and that's kind of why I wanted to get into um doing the branding project for my friend. I mean, I could just do it the way I want to do it and he can take it or leave it, but problem is like I know I have a ton of things I need to do right now. and like sucks. I can't work on the econ project on stream, design and developing. That one's turning out to be really fun. Does make my morning streams kind of hard. Like, I was thinking about it, if I just come on while I'm working on it but can't show it. If there's anything else like AMA type stuff where it's just like I'm working over here, but I'll always like be available to chat about whatever. I mean, this one would be so fun. So it's like for this, I'm thinking like he wants to occupy a space that's premium. He wants to be able to charge a more like of a premium for his boards, but he's been known as a like a value buy to this point. He's cranked out volume, but the thing is like he's cranked out volume at high quality. And so he's done the legwork, and it's like, how do you link his sort of like heritage and like cuz he's shaped with some of like the legends of surfboard shaping, and he's learned from them, and he's just refined his craft. And like you kind of need to nod to that, but he wants to be forward thinking, and he wants to like rub elbows with some of the like boutique type people out there. So there's like, oh, don't play audio. I mean, this is where like the bar is so low in the industry. The only people that are like, I think, doing really good stuff is Album, who I was gonna work with, but like even like their web presence is just like, I don't know, I don't like it. But like from like quality of boards, like this is, he wants to occupy the space of like charging a premium. Um, I mean, 1,200 for a board, but this is like art boards. So yeah, it's like then looking at the branding, how do I like, where do I land in this space of like, nodding to the old, but like pointing to the new and refined. And so kind of what I'm thinking in my head is, trying to find, it's like kind of getting into like this world a little bit, just like very minimal type, um, with like very clean layouts, but then having moments of just like, I don't know. And like I think the way the assets come through, like photography style is going to be important. So I've shot him in the shaping bay, and I can set the photography style for this entirely. Like for some reason, like something like mid 90s comes to mind, where it's like the assets are such a key part of the storytelling of like his brand. Um, and it's like there's always like the technical side of like, I mean, a lot of shaping is math. It's like you're using all these old classic tools, and like this is sort of the design language that comes with all these old planers and shit like that. Um, so how do you nod to that as well? Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe I kind of start kicking around. I think I have. See, I did some like. What did I have? Oh, I forgot. I like shot an old video of him. This is like before I ever uh knew how to color grade. I think I color graded in After Effects, which I found out people do a lot of. Um, nah, you don't need to see that. That's not important. What do we? See if I can do a desktop stream. I might regret this, but let's go. So, I mean, this is where like I find branding so much interesting because these are like really old photo style, like photo edits of mine. Like this is 2016, so this is, holy shit, 5 years ago. And like photo styles now are just very different. And I think this comes across as like kind of pedestrian and boring, but it's like if you have like just simple layouts, but you start like really honing in on like leaning into old like film styles, like that immediately gives the brand like a vintage feel. And so maybe I don't need to do as much with like vintage type. Like I can do more progressive type, but because I'm pairing it with older kind of contrasting visual assets, like that's where I think of the balance is super interesting. Like, because I don't think there's getting away from just like clean, like this feels like new and old, although it's from 75, just because it has like just classic type. I don't know what it looks like, Helvetica or something tangential to it. Um, like there's always that timelessness you want with things. Not you, I want with things. I'm not going to speak for you. Maybe there's times to chase trends. There's absolutely like brands to do it, but something like this, like where it's if I want to talk to someone, if I want to represent a brand that's like and have credibility of like been there, done that, high quality, like that's not, to me that's not the time to like chase trends at like a very broad level. I think it's a time um to kind of speak to that and like maybe be a little bit more refined, because for me at least, like the longer I do something, the more nuanced I think things get. It's like, I don't have to be as shouty about like, oh, I'm doing something new, like let me just play up like the new aspect of it. It's like, no, like this is one of those things where like the products speak for themselves, and it's like, how do I create a brand that really just speaks to that? And so it's, I mean, this stuff is cool. This is too much in like the retro world for where I want to take them. So that's kind of where I'm evaluating all these references. Some of them are like skewing one side or the other, and something I like to do when I kind of have initial conversations is just to like throw in wild cards, um, of like, I don't think he's gonna like this. I hope he says he hates this, and then I'll know it's like, okay, that's definitely not the direction. Although sometimes you got to be careful. Is like I've had wild cards chosen. It's like, yeah, that's fucking rad. Oh, son of a bitch! Like you were supposed to hate that, and I do not want to go there. And then it's kind of like talking. It's like, well, I didn't think he'd like that. I wanted to put that in and kind of explaining my thought process behind it. Um, so yeah, you always got to be. That's like also just with client work in general. Sometimes it's good to show clients like, okay, here's what you asked for. This looks and works or doesn't work. It's bad. And you hope like, okay, I'm gonna get it in front of them, and they'll just see it and they'll be like, oh yeah, of course, let's not go that way. Be careful with that route. I'm telling you, like it's worked and it's backfired, and when it backfires, it hurts a lot more than when it works. Like when it works, it should be like, yeah, okay, good, moving on. But when it doesn't, then you're stuck with this like shit that you thought like that is so bad. And again, you can always try and like walk things back and help clients understand, this is why this isn't the direction we should go. But sometimes they've got something in their head and you can tell them up is down, left is right, and they're still going to be like, well, I don't care. This is what I want to do. That's not a great client, but, um, you always got to find that balance. Um, I'm still on desktop. Let me close down Illustrator. I was going to work on the serif font. Maybe I start doing some explorations for this. I started some. See how it goes. And so my process to start is just like, I will just go through my fonts. And when it comes to branding, like, it's crazy. Like, find myself on DeFont a lot. And like the fonts are bad, but like the ideas are good. The fonts aren't always bad. Let's be honest. There's some great fonts on there for free, and I'm very thankful for them. And sometimes I've used them as a basis and then just get in kind of like tweak things. But like the ideas they have for different characters and forms, you know, a lot of times, I don't know, it helps inform kind of where I want to go. So for me, it was just like, and this is where I'm a little hesitant to spend too much time on this because we can't agree on naming at this point. His name is Dan Cobley, and he wants to go with Dan Cobley surfboards. And as a brand, like I don't like, to me that's heavy-handed. He's gone by Dank. So it's Dan C. And Dank is, if you know, it's kind of slang speak often found around the surf industry. So it's got, and he's shaped under this name, and this is where it's like an interesting thing of like he wants to like delineate himself from that value brand. Um, like he doesn't want to be associated with that sort of like high volume, high quality, um, low price sort of thing. He wants to shape less and charge more because he's been doing it for fucking 25 years or whatever it is. That's not 20, it's like 20 years. So how do I help him do that? And you know, this is where there's different avenues, and this is, I just need to like sit down and have a conversation with him and be like, hey, you know, Dank's got some credibility. It's like people know it's quality boards. They might associate a cheaper price, but like they have to understand that people reinvent themselves, and you know, things change. He's been shaping forever. Like people need to understand that like there comes a time where he can't make as much. He doesn't want to work as hard and like grind out and work weekends, and um so this is where I'm in a weird spot with this. I might just go the route of just like I'll just show him some like loose ideas. And so this is like just like I literally just type in like Dan C. I'll do it over here. This is basically what it is. I'll do like title case all caps, and then like he wants to like explore Dan Cobley, and you know, I don't really want to do that. He wants Dan Cobley surfboards, which he sent me like these as references. And like I like if you want to go premium, this is not where I would want to take him. So this is kind of like back of mind. And then I started pulling together like I'll do like full like competition, like in the space, who's he trying to go up against, and then just do like I'll basically chart all of it of like, so I'll use these to map the space. That's not right. Copy paste. Let's rotate this fucking thing. Does rotate doesn't work anymore. I had a Stream Deck thing that would just like, there's some command that like that swaps these, but no more. So yeah, it just, oh, it's such a pain in the ass. Whatever. 3. I'm doing this such a stupid way. So there's, I kind of have to figure out what the vertices are of this chart. I haven't really spent much time thinking about it. Let's do. So I think like one of the bigger things is, so is it a value buy or is it a premium? I think heritage. Modern. I think these are like the main pillars that I need to think about. So I'm like trying to look at the landscape and try and like put different brands in like a quadrant basically. So it's like everything off the middle, like the further it gets to premium, I think this is pretty common. So Arc is not heritage, they're modern. Premium, they're somewhere up here. Tomo is kind of heritage, kind of. They're not. I guess they are kind of premium. I don't know them well enough. They're on the premium side. Herv is premium. Modern. Hype is heritage. I don't know where they fall on this. I'm just gonna put them in the middle. Hyzel is modern. Premium. Because there's also like different vertices as well. It's like yeah, it's like, is it edgy versus classic? Because Pyzel's kind of like modern, premium, edgy, and there's a couple that fall in that space. Faction, I think they're more value. This is kind of like an exercise I'll do, and just like as I'm looking around. And so top corner is album. Heritage, premium, Bing surfboards, if you don't know. So yeah, modern, Dead Kooks up here. This is more this is kind of heritage. So yeah, like this is the exercise I'll go through, and then I can it helps me contextualize, and I can make multiple versions of these and have different charts of like, this is how I'm seeing the landscape, and like, where do we want to be? Do we want to be like right here? And it's like, okay. So this helps me kind of wrap my head around the position that we want to occupy, and it's more for the client. Like I can kind of do this in my head. But especially with where I'm at this current junction, like I just want to get buy off on the direction I want to go, and this helps that like him, them, client, whoever understand why I want to go there. It's like, okay, this ladders back to this. Like, remember, we want to be modern and premium. I don't think this is where we want to go. I think we want to straddle the line like right here. It's like equal parts modern, equal parts heritage. And so then, yeah, it helps get buy off. So, I don't need to do all this stuff right now. Dead sleds, chilies, kind of heritage, modern. Yeah, the time. And doing this, just having like a big screenshot of the board. Oh, why did I do that? Well, I'll always come back to the board, but for me, I've found like it's just useful to have it accessible. So, and even just like looking, like I'll just pull back on this and just kind of be like, all right, you kind of get like a vibe from it. It's like, all right, how do I hone into that? And I'll start looking at like different visual characteristics. Like, is there something to like this ASCII type and like the offset? It's kind of cool, but it's not really right for this. How do I look at like these classic lockups that remind me of like old tools or old like record labels? There's something to be said about that, and like kind of the idea is like a stamp of authority, or it's like official if it's got this mark or this sort of like, yeah, like this I think is fucking rad. This is a little bit more heritage. This is definitely a heritage, but this is so rad. So yeah, I gotta kind of distill it down. So if I go back to fonts, I mean, I'll start just like narrowing in on some. So this is like narrowed in a lot from like all the bullshit of my fonts. And a lot of times there's like it's a range of what I like from these fonts. Let me go to Chrome browsing, by the way, or not Chrome browsing. Let's go to Sketch. My iPad just doesn't work. Let's see if I can get this to work. Because I like haven't been able to see what you guys are saying. Instead of me just rambling on forever, maybe it'll be good for me to kind of like bounce back and forth. All right, let me get caught up here. Yeah, I need to clip the stream. Okay. There's a lot of rambling, and like I've thought about doing like clips. Like, so I understand that people don't want to listen to me ramble. I think there are some people who just like the work sessions, like having dialogue and like kind of stream of consciousness, having me on in the background, just kind of putting people to sleep. But I think there's like little bits where I'm a bit more focused. So clips might be a good thing. One cue here. The surf project is really different from her portfolio and all their modern design. Why? Why you like this retro vibe more? Yeah, so I think I look at my book of work and what I want to do, and I've been sensitive to the fact like when I've really only had it happen once. When I was working at Apple and like as a freelancer, and they were just like, yeah, this isn't your thing. Like this isn't like the type of stuff that, you know, is in your wheelhouse. And I was like, fuck that. Like I've always like thought like I don't want a style. I want to do whatever. And I was just thinking about this um last night. Like how I approach my photos also. Um it's good and bad because I don't really have a consistent style. And you can say what you will about that. I go back, go desktop. Like the through lines between this are few. Like stylistically, like it's just all over the map. And I think people get attached to the idea of having styles and it's like, I need to be known for this one thing. And I think there's like two paths you can take. It's like I either want to be known for this one thing or I want to be known for being able to do everything. And I think I'm more on like the other side of the spectrum where it's like I want to be able to get weird. I want the flexibility to like just chase down weird ideas. I don't want to be boxed into like, oh, this is what I'm known for and this is all I can do. It's like, oh, fuck that. Like I don't want that. Like I want to be able to just like just in the same way with photos, just like, oh, this would be kind of cool to just do like a dark flat version. But then it's like then I want to get into something else that's like this where it's just like a bit more traditional black and white. Like I think it might bother some people in terms of like they won't want to use me as a photographer. They might not want prints, or they like don't understand me as like a photographer in general. I think you look to most people and they have a style. They can bend that style and to a lot of different applications, but they have like a look, and I'm just terrified of that. Um, and so that's where um, I see stuff like this where it's just like, all right, this is a gap in my work. And so this is like this project, some of the stuff that I'm doing with Cathedral, like it is all outside of this like tech marketing ecom world. Like I'm just running from that as fast as I can. So um I undoubtedly could be safer with this, but you know, I don't want to do work that's for my portfolio. Like I want to take on work. I look at work through the lens right now of like, what do I want to get back? What am I missing in my book of work? Branding and like weird shit. Like I don't want to. I just rethought a lot of the copy on my website because of this. Of like the collaboration section in the Hero now, it talks about like doing progressive work, and I think I don't want people coming to me and being like, I just got an inquiry the other day, and it's like great content. It's for some cinematographer, and it's like, hey, we got the brand done. We just want you to like execute it. And it's like, no, I don't really want that. Like, I don't want people to look at me as like an execution type person. I think they were just referred to me where I help someone with execution. But it's again like all controlling like the narrative of like who you are as a creative. And so this is my opportunity to shape that just a little bit. I think with my website getting more like 8-bit and bit crushed and weird and that it's all just like passive reinforcement of like who I am and who's like what my brand is. So yeah, long story short, I see this as an opportunity to mix things up and just like get weird. Because I've seen like with Cathedral, the workflow that they get in, like it's all just like progressive and it's like how did this happen? And it's like, well, look at their book. This is like they just do like progressive stuff and you put progressive stuff out, you get progressive stuff in. So yeah, all some fun stuff from them, but I'm still taking it on myself to do some fun stuff. Because it is funny, the other um site design and dev that I'm doing is it's very, very minimal and very like editorial and classic style. It's kind of like, but I also like that stuff in its own way, but this is way more interesting. Let's see, make sure which free font website do you use? DeFont. I was just on there. I downloaded probably like 30 fonts from DeFont yesterday. It's for another branding project I can't talk about, unfortunately. Um, yeah, lots of great ones from there, and trying to think. There's other paid ones. Um, I have some other sites I poke around with sometimes, but um, yeah. And then I have like a whole. I don't know if I should be talking about, but whatever. Um, if you use fonts, pay for fonts. But I have a Foundries. Do Chrome browsing. Foundries. So I have like a list of foundries, um, where I'll just kind of like check in and see what they're doing. I don't really follow them. That's like the Grilly types, the Alpha fonts, Dynamo, and sometimes you can like if each of those have their own vibes, you kind of know like what they're into and what to expect from them. And like I don't think I've seen Gravity yet. I don't think. Yeah, the fact that you can like play it out, so I can just do like for what I'm doing, like not mad about that. It's kind of like a classic. I don't know. It's got a classic vibe to it. Agree and close. These variable fonts. I want to learn how to do it. It's like could get kind of weird and blocky. And we could. I don't know. Just getting ideas of like a flexible visual system. Sometimes like I'll screenshot it. This is where. Oh, trash! It's trash day. Sorry if you guys get trash noise. Besides me, it's really loud right now. They're like right outside my window. Where is my sketch? So it's like sometimes I'll just start screenshot samples. And it's kind of hackish. Fuck. Then if I want to do like kerning, that trash truck is feet from my back window. Yeah, so I couldn't do kerning, so I can just like get an idea of it. I'll just put like just moved it. Like I know I didn't finish it. I want to bore you guys. But yeah, that's like an idea, potential direction. So yeah, I'll just poke around there sometimes. Screenshot. Got a couple of these I wouldn't mind checking out right now, actually. Font and use rep. Yeah, there is so there's also, if I'm just like kind of seeing what the landscape is right now, there's Type Wolf. That I think has some, it's very tight focused, as you might expect. You can find some good pairings in there sometimes. There's some good like high level direction. Yeah, fonts in use. I just stopped halfway through. Kind of interesting. They have a very, I don't know, interesting like way that they curate. Sometimes there's some head scratchers on here. It's like, why is the Big Lebowski poster in here next to all this like modern stuff? Like, I appreciate the range in some sense. I don't know the value of like, am I do I look at this as like a well-designed poster? Not really. But you know, you gotta take the good with the bad. Sometimes even the bad, like weird old shit will just like spark ideas. Like this isn't bad. Like interesting. Like the Egmont. Get on here for a minute. Is that really booking? Get caught up. Not limited to free, actually. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think like Pangram, or was it? They just updated their site with Locomotive. They have a new starter pack. Such a boomer, just clicking on the text. Like, 29 bucks. There you go. Editorial news, a great font. Echo. It's a lot of great fonts in here. 29 bucks. I was talking about this on a previous stream. I think someone in here actually bought them last time. But this is, I don't know what they just added. Yeah, and they're slanging fucking mock-ups too. I got a request for mock-ups. I want to look at what these people are doing. So like it's pretty easy to do this stuff. I just want to like figure out how. Problem with mock-ups, like if I get into like big Photoshop files, I'm delivering like, oh, you can't even see what I'm on. Yep. Full-time streamer, look out. So this is the Pangram site I was looking at. I wasn't just sitting there. No, this is the layers. I'm looking at this stuff. Like, I bet you these guys make a killing. I see so many brands use these things. So many mock-ups. Oh my god. How much? What is this going for? 20 pounds? Fuck. It's crazy. Huh. By the way, John, can we know the geometric font you referred to for JW.S? It's a multitude of fonts. Um, there's one that's like more of a foundation that I like used all the kerning classes based off of. I'll keep that to myself. But I'm gonna like keep pushing it. I see a lot of opportunities with my font. There's a lot of things that bother me. Yeah, I don't know if I'm fully comfortable divulging what that is, just because I don't know. I need to push it further still. That's why I like the fonts in pre-sale right now on my site. I want to make it a little bit further. Like no one's made the connection to it, which I think is great. But yeah, I think it's got a little bit further to go, and I think some of the things I want to fix about it, like a lot of those things are like artifacts of the original font, and some of the characteristics I picked up from it that I wanted to get rid of, but I don't think I got rid of all of them. So, yeah, I could tell you in time, for sure. Just give me a little bit. Yeah, I'm like torn on whether I want to dive into this. I think laying the groundwork and making a case is something I need to work on, because this is not where we want to go. It's like not far off from some of this. It's just the naming of it. Gotta have something that's brandable. Your guess on how much Locomotive is charged for the Pangram site? That's a good question. They've been like very buddy, so I almost wonder if it was like a joint venture type thing. But yeah, this Pangram site. I don't know. I don't know what websites go for these days. As bad as that is to say. It all depends. Like, I don't know. Oh, stretching. I haven't really looked at this site yet. I've like seen it promoted, but I never really got into it. This font is just so good. I've seen this, like clips of this. This is something I need to do. My samples, like the specimen for JW.S. Once I like get it locked in, I want to do some stuff like this. Just get free form. And then like type posters, something I want to do, like combining type with either photos or compositing. Got some like random ideas I want to do. Yeah, I mean, the site's really well done. I mean, it's very Locomotive. I will say that. Ooh, catch a tan from this site. Oh, what they charge in general? I mean, I don't know if there's going to be a one size fits all for pricing. I think it's so contingent on like functionality. Some people, you know, like they'll charge more like flat rates and deal with any sort of variability and functionality. And there's some places that'll get very granular and try and like scope out things down to like a minute detail, which would have great implications on cost. It's like a very standard like static website is something very different to something that's immersive. And yeah, I haven't scoping websites is not um this is kind of why I liked coming in as a freelancer and just I don't know, I'm seeing like interesting pros and cons also of being freelance versus working full time. It's like freelance, like the budgeting's already done. Um like I'm coming in to fit a specific need, and like I don't have to navigate the client waters and distilling down all this stuff. Like it's done to a certain level where it's just like, okay, here's we've interpreted the client speak and like here's what we have to do. Um and I can either say yes or no. But like when you're working full time, it's kind of like, well, you got to make sense of this shit. Why is this on here? Like this is just head scratchers. Um so yeah, like I need to figure out my own sort of costs. I'm trying to do more like joint venture partnership type things, like the brand I'm working with, whose name I can't say. Um, like I'm just taking this on as like a portfolio piece and like a partnership potentially. Still need to talk about if that's a possibility. Um, but yeah, it's hard to scope websites. And then if you get into the whole idea of um, like multiple agencies bidding, it starts to get into a bidding war, and then it gets to race to the bottom to do the most work for the least amount of money. Um, and you can like promise the world and for like really cheap, but you'll find out that there's like politics that just they were gonna choose someone else no matter what you did. So the whole like I don't know scoping and budgeting thing, like it's just a shit show to me. But yeah, I'm not touching my website. Can't do it. Um, Yeah, I've like done nothing actually creative. Great questions though. I appreciate you guys. Keep them coming if you got them. I'm happy to chat or look at whatever. Um, hopefully this is helpful. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. Now I'm distracted with nice image. Design could use some work. Layouts are nice. Just type's garbage. It's awful. I'd say it's awful. It's not my favorite. I don't know, like, who are these people that have all this time to like put energy into how they present things? Like to make these full fucking case studies, like it is not easy. I haven't put anything on Behance. I barely have enough time to put stuff on my website. Like, how do these people have time? Like, I just created a promo for my store and I was up till until like midnight working on it, and I still hated it, and I just was like, I'm done with it. If I can, oh yeah, it's on my desktop. So take this for what you will. Going very commercey, so it just plays in a sequence. Using like the compression type stuff. Just trying to like just pivot my brand a little bit. I mean, there's still like moments like this, but enough about my shit. Um, go to Chrome, so then I can go to Sketch. I don't have it on here. Maybe the question is philosophical, but as a young designer, I wanted to know if you have any advice on how to avoid falling in the mainstream designer category. Um, it can be hard. Um, yeah, if you're junior, it's hard to really get the work you want for a while. Ideally, you have the luxury to pick and choose like the work you want to get in. And you can help craft that narrative of like, this is my space. Hire me because this is kind of like you could either be very specific of like I want to do this style specifically, or it's like I just have atypical type stuff. Um, and I'm trying to think of like how you establish that path early to avoid it. I don't think there's any avoiding it entirely. It's just like over time, how do you get further and further away from mainstream? Um, and I don't know if you mean that question in terms of like how do you develop your skill set or how do you take on work? Um, I think those are kind of like different parts to the equation. I think it's building out your skill set is probably the first thing of um, thing. Um, just looking for opportunities to keep pushing yourself away and understanding like what you want to avoid and what you want to gravitate towards, and just it's probably going to be a long process to hone in on what that is. Um, because I think the temptation for a lot of time is to just kind of reject mainstream stuff and just go like full weird, which you can do. It might attract some people, but I think if you still want to be um, viable as a hire, you might want to just kind of make your way progressively there and just like do something that's like not mainstream, um, and then like, oh yeah, okay, so people like that, but I want to keep going and just like pushing it that way. Um, yeah, like the whole getting paid to do atypical work is it's something I'm trying to like figure out now. And that's where I'm just really trying to craft the narrative. Um, and it's just like doing the work you want to do. And like I think that'll naturally be reflected in like it just everything seems atypical, and then you'll kind of like people will step back from a high level view, and you know they won't see like the cookie cutter dribble designer. And I think that's important. It's finding ways to separate yourself of like how are you going to show your creative thinking in ways that aren't like done a million times. Like if it's a dashboard, good luck. Like I wouldn't choose a dashboard as your way to like to do like separate yourself from the mainstream. Um, and I think there's a lot of people making money just doing like mainstream regurgitated shit, and like I don't know. I think the design world needs to be we need to thin the herd a little bit. There's a lot of people making a good living off of very little ability. Um, but um, yeah, I mean, I think it just really depends on how you look at that. Because I think I'm kind of covering off on different aspects of it, but I don't know exactly how you mean, Nicholas. Um, and it like pulling inspiration from atypical places, like looking and just having like a broad sense. I think that might be one of the bigger points is like pull your inspiration from everywhere. Like if you start like honing in on like one source of like interactive design, like I live in the interactive world, so I'm gonna only pull for interactive design, like you're going to fall into that mainstream category. Like it's just you're gonna have a hard time seeing outside of that. And so that's why like this no ISO thing for me is like I think it's a very big deal for how I try and do it. I don't know if I execute outside of the mainstream to the level I want yet, but it's pushing me there. And so looking at things outside of it, it's like, I don't know, it helps you think differently. Because you can definitely be a product of your inspiration. Yeah, if you look to the same stuff all the time, you're going to be handcuffed and you're going to be stuck. Like it's you can think out, like you can think past it sometimes and get like, I don't know, more unique based off of like purely interactive stuff. But I don't know, I'd argue like when you strip away the limitations of like interactive, you can start thinking a bit more freely, um, and approach things differently. I don't know. That would be another big point, I would say. Because yeah, there's so much like interesting stuff going on with like 3D artists, like poster designers, type designers, illustrators. Um, I don't know. This is how I try and stay atypical or non-mainstream. And for me, like yeah, like taking on the, I'm not even on the right fucking window. I don't know how many times I'm gonna do this. Um, yeah, I mean, like just looking at what's on here, you can, I don't know. It could spark a lot of different ideas that like go beyond the typical stuff. Because if I pull up Dribble right now, go to the homepage, their inspiration. Hmm. See a lot of similar stuff going on. Like, how the fuck is this like the top inspiration? No offense, Adrian, but like this is literally something like I think AI could make this in about 5 minutes. Not 5 minutes, like 5 seconds. You can make that in Squarespace in 20 seconds. That's where like shit like that I think needs to go. Like I think there's a lot of talk about like, oh, Squarespace and all these templates and everything is like it's commoditizing our work, but like maybe it should. Like this is useless. Like I don't understand the value that's being generated there outside of like that should be templatized. That should be like we don't even think about that. That's not even design. Like I don't know what the fuck this is. Like is this your art direction? This fucking underline? Like I get it. He's probably more junior and it's not fair to just like pick on people like this, but this is our design world and like this is what's getting to the top page of the inspiration. Like another fucking dashboard. Like we needed another one. And I get that like people see what trends and like I did it too. Like I looked at what was trending and I started kind of thinking about that, thinking about my work through it. Like this is a dashboard, but at least it's getting into some motion. Arguably, like it's all stuff that could be templatized. I kind of am like a old man, like salty, like okay, we're getting more interesting here. There's at least art direction to this. Like I hate to dog dribble, but it's just so easy. Like like what are we doing? How many like I just threw out dashboards as like the fucking like base level like mainstream shit and like here we go. How many fucking dashboards are there? I don't know, I get all worked up about this, but it's just frustrating. It's like this is this is our interactive world and this is why I want to distance myself from it. Like I think interactive is mature to a point where it's like this shit is like this should be templatized. Like I always look at it in the way of like typographers. Like we don't need typographers in the traditional sense for websites. Like we don't need a typesetter. We don't need someone to like come in there like their specialty is just type. We don't need them to like set the kerning and like everything, font sizes, whatever for websites. Like that's something like any designer should be able to do. Just in the same way, like these fucking landing screens, like there's no thought to this. I think in the beginning it was like, well, how do people don't really understand how to use like websites, so how are we educating them how to click through this? Like the fundamentals of web design, I think, are being taught like as like an introductory class in college, but we're seeing professionals like not going beyond this. And it's like, this is mainstream boring ass like I don't think there's anything creative about these. And I get that like some of these are products and there's not really room to be creative sometimes. Like I get that as well. But it's like that's going to happen. Like boring design's going to happen. You're going to get stuck doing boring design, you're going to get stuck doing shitty design. Like I've got so many things I am just not proud of. But I think there's like interesting baseline of like I don't know, of like very rudimentary shit getting way more praise than it's worth. But I'm a salty old man. I got a little worked up. I'll drink my coffee and calm down. Although I am out of coffee. How are we doing on time? Yeah, we got about a half hour. Then I gotta jump to work. Angels. Morning, evening. It's going. I'm just ranting at dribble right now. But I'm going to stop. Actual vision as JW.S is to get create projects such as you've done with artists. Still difficult because some of the clients it's not open to alternative design. Yeah, Nicholas. So that's where it might take time to be able to pull like the RE side off, especially with clients. Like I think I would have a hard time pulling that off just because there's a lot of things in terms of like content requirements, the production that's required, like even the shit that like Ari had to do for not Arena. Like the amount of work it took for Ari to do a lot of like each of these are a separate navigation. And he had to replicate this whole thing. So anytime he made changes, he needed to like carry it across all of them. So like there's little barriers like that like I think if it becomes a budget thing, like that's going to be the first to go. So I guess to that point, like look at passion projects as an opportunity to like just do those things you want to do and know that like the long game is to do this with clients and to get paid to do it. Because I don't think until you like have work in your book of like I've done these sort of immersive things, like people aren't going to probably go to you with that mindset. Um it's very interesting like yeah, controlling like the mindset of people who come to you for work. Like do they fundamentally trust you? Are you someone they just need to fill a gap or are they coming to you specifically because of the work you have in your book? And I ideally it's more like immersive type things if that's where you want to go. But you know, it's like I don't know, chicken and the egg kind of deal where it's like, no, catch 22. That's what I'm looking for. It's like you need the work to do it, but you can't get the work to start. So it's like you're stuck in this sort of like you have to just take the initiative on yourself. And this is where I like people try and knock like the hustle mentality, and I will knock it all day if it's for someone else. But if it's for yourself, like I don't think there's any getting around just like putting in the extra hours and grinding and but grind for yourself. Like do not grind for anyone else. Like there's a lot of agencies that love to just be like, oh, you want to learn a lot, you get a lot of opportunity, like work late for us. And I think there's still value in that. Like I would say take on those like work late for those companies, but understand where that sort of tipping point is. I think I've talked about this before. It's like a point of diminishing returns where it's like those late nights are like they're not benefiting you anymore, they're benefiting someone else. Then that I think that's when you stop and start thinking about you have to be very selfish with how you approach things. Like with your time, what you take on. Um but yeah, regardless, I think after hours work and just kind of taking the initiative of doing these side projects and maybe with like something that's interactive like that, it does you don't have a developer to build it. Um, like it doesn't actually come to fruition. And I think like even for me, like my photo, like my photo website, I don't know if I still have. Um, oh, that's old. Let's see, photo. Yes. Or no, it's on my dribble. Because honestly, like I saw some opportunities to do stuff that's more progressive. So it's like coming up with this whole concept of like a photo-based UI that's like a joystick that you can play around with and explore. Like I don't like it's part of the problem with my portfolio right now. Um like the way I'm limited by my website and how I can and can't show video. Um like everything seems very static and very like traditional e-commerce. So I've been getting a lot of that. So it's like how do I push back? Because I did motion for Fila as well, but it's not really shown here. So, and it's like traditional e-commerce, so I'm still looking at opportunities to kind of like break out of that. And I don't think that'll ever go away. Like you'll always find things you want to kind of work into, and maybe it becomes a point where this kind of stuff is just handed to you, but it's probably not, unfortunately. It's going to be something you just got. Oh, yeah, stream disconnected. Sorry about that. I don't know where it got left off. Probably missed a lot of rambling. Doing any design work? Do you have project on your Behance?
I was thinking about thinking and doing some design. I was gonna do some branding stuff, but I think I've got to work in like half hour and been a lot of great questions, and I've been kind of poking around at some other stuff. I don't have Behance projects. I need to do it. This is from like most of these numbers are all from this project. This is an old one. Claudio. Yeah. I need to do like case studies on this. I want to do series. Um, like more photo series like this. This one's so over designed. I hate this. And the photos, the grading on it is terrible. This one's not as bad. They're just too crunchy. Yeah, this is so crunchy. It's crazy. So crunchy. Apparently there's signatures on here. God, I did that. Ah, this old thing. Forgot all about this. 2019. Check my audio settings. Can you hear me? Seems it shows the audio registering. What's weird is none of my like system audio is coming through. Like wavelengths just not. Like none of my Chrome, like the rain's not coming through, I don't think. I think I have to restart. Is anyone even still there? Oh, there's some static. Oh. Is that any better? Probably not. Wonder where the static would be coming from. Hmm. I gotta make this window bigger. Better. Fuck. Um, I don't know what I can do about that. I don't see anything coming up on wavelength. It's nothing from my, something wireless. I wonder if it's the rain just being like filtered out and all that's coming through is static. Is that any better? I have a feeling it might just be like restarting. If it's bad, I mean, maybe it's, I'll probably have to just jump off. Dang. Bummer. Um, yeah, so I think I'm kind of late to jumping in to the branding stuff. I think I have to have another conversation with them. Maybe I'll get into that tomorrow. I think I'm gonna be here every morning. I think I might do music tomorrow morning because I need a break from my website. Um, yeah, it's so weird that they're static. I've been having a lot of problems with audio. Yeah, maybe I'll spin off. So like I give Pinterest credit, like some of this like related stuff is great. It kind of puts you into a very narrow window sometimes. Like so for this it's great, but for like no ISO where I'm trying to do like as wide of a range as I can, it's not good. I kind of have to like fight it at every turn. Something about like this punk poster type thing is kind of cool. This is dope. What's what like script? The other thing about like the branding I was going through before for the shaper, it's like he's kind of quirky. He's like the funniest fucking guy I know. It's like it'd be a shame to not have that reflected, like coming across like because he wants to go boutique, so it's like how do I go boutique but like keep like an edge to it, keep it weird. And there's so many different ways to go with that. So from here, let me see if I can get the right input. Yeah, from here it's going to be about like just pulling out ones that I think like this is distilled down from my font list, but it's like what do I think is an interesting jumping off point? And some of these there's like characters that I think are interesting, and some that there's like full word marks I think are onto something interesting. There's something interesting about like I'm in like a gothic font sort of mood. Um, so there's something about that that's kind of nice, and I think there's been some stuff that's been done recently that feels um, like gothic fonts have been pushed into I don't know like an elevated sort of space. Um, so it's like I start looking at like just different lockups, um, just like font pairings at a very high level. Like this is awful. I know that. But it's like just getting like a vibe check of like okay, could I offset this with like a favorite or some sort of like classic sans serif font to kind of like balance it a little bit. I don't think I'm going to get any answers off that, but it's just like kind of a visual thought starter of like, because sometimes I have to leave notes for myself of like, why did I pull this out? And it's like, oh, well, if I put this in here, and it's like the other parts, like if I make like a badge out of it, because I think there's a lot of interesting options of like badging that I was talking about before, like vision sound type thing. This Montour thing is something that's pretty rad too. So it's like, could I could I even bring in this font into like this sort of shape if I stretch these characters up? They don't really lend themselves all that well to it. Um, like I don't know if the A, yeah, see these when you get, it's just good. But I think for me, like the rhythm is mostly what I'm interested in with this one. Like it's got a nice flow on the top and the bottom of like just the way these letter forms are. I had a whole bunch of new like Gothic fonts too yesterday. Um, there's something to like the, I don't know if this needs to be like all caps. So this is like, yeah, there's something to that. This is where I'm like distilling it down. So it's like first pass, everything, narrowing in. I'm like, okay, I want to go with dank. So like, how do I pull that? Like, how do I then explore that? And then I'm like pulling out directions within that that I think are onto something interesting. I think there's something interesting about like just a weird, condensed kind of heritage looking thing. I don't know why these are here. Oh, looking at like the A. So like that's where I'll just pull I'll like this font is just not it for what I'm looking for, but it's like there's something about like that A that I think is interesting. And I think I have to think about this also through like a mark. Like, do I want to have like a logo symbol, or is it just going to be a word mark? And that's where I think like if I'm able to push them into dank, it can be like a word mark is it. Like we don't need anything else. Don't want to have like a bunch of like conflated symbols. You like that too. Of like if I can get it to a word mark, I'd probably prefer to do it in this instance. Um, but Autobahn. Let's see. What's Fontaine? This has like a very like German Gothic feel to it. I like it though. The OTF. Wait, what is this, Arjun? Am I blowing up your? What is this? Are these all free fonts? They are. Dang, Arjun dropping some secret shit on us. Comic. Are these all just like samples? Like if you sure. I'm a hoarder. I mean, there's so many like memes about designers just hoarding fonts. Person who made the website is an interesting website. We got Peter. Whoa, cat fonts. This is not what I was expecting. Hello, friends. You weren't lying, Arjun. This is like I thought like interesting in like a Korean. Ah, fuck, you can't even see what I'm looking at. Ah, no. This interesting. Peter Weigel. Wow. Cat fonts. Hello, friends. The fact that I have now applied for a pension unfortunately has some consequences. On the one hand, I no longer have to prove that I have to apply for a job or take part in any reintegration measures. Wow, this is a lot to take in right now. It's a little early for this, I'm not gonna lie. But this is the site Arjun was sending for the fonts. Snag this one. Yeah. There's no way that this site and this site are in any way related. There can't be. Oh, you're saying that font specifically. This is the guy who made Oh. Whoa. What? This guy's a fucking G. What? Cat fonts. Bringing the heat right now. See, you think you know a guy. Yeah, some of these fonts are pretty fucking metal. Holy shit. Even like some of these old style, like I don't know like why some of these are rastering so terribly. That's not the same. Oh, it is the same font. These like old like versions of DIN. Download here. Did I just download some malware? Oh. Sure. And see, this is what I have to do with my stores. I've got to go through and add all this like licensing information, all this shit. Oh, fan. Old vintage. You know what? I'll disable my ad blocker for you, bud. I can't believe he's made these many fonts. This is what I want to do in retirement. Holy shit. Rouge Shrift. Gimme. Dude, Argent. Share, man. Yeah, these are very German. Some of the like more classic ones. I was down at DIN. Difficult. Appreciate what you're going for there. Well, we're in free font land. But honestly, like some of these could be like really good for project I'm working on now. Like if I want to do like vintage feeling stuff, like there's definitely some vintage feeling fonts in here. A lot of shit, but there's some good ones in here. Oh, come on. Come on, cat fonts. You can do better kerning than that. EST arrow, don't mind if I do. Would try it even though the kerning sucks. So yeah, a little tip. If you do command click, it opens up a new tab. That's how I keep my space, my place in lists like this. Oh man. Cat fonts. His best life of his retirement. That's it? Stops at K? I thought I was gonna keep going. Oh, L to Z. My man. Look at all these cat tabs. All those ad impressions. You deserve them. As long as you don't give me some malware with these fonts. Dope. Just gotta learn to save for the fucking web. Bastard shit. Gold mine. Well, it seems like some of these you have to pay for, but it didn't seem like the first one I got I had to pay for. So damn cheap. So many good ones in here. Nope. I think my stream's bugging out, so I'm sorry. Like, I don't know if the audio is any better now or if it's dropping frames. Oh, better. Just got weird. Now it's time to find out whether I can actually get any of these for free. Oh God. What? This is why. The fuck out of here. I don't. That. Not that big of a fan. Was this the numbers one? This. Fuck's the download link? Download. Yep. Oop. Yep. Yeah. All like the caps and Gothic fonts are just so hit or miss. Kind of cool, but kind of like almost looks like a what's it called? A hippie poster, like a fish poster or something. I'm pretty sure I'm downloading a bunch of just malware. So if I never get online again, you know, thanks, Arjun. No, thank you for sharing this. This is fucking dope. Like, these kind of like offbeat fonts. Like, I don't know, they're just so rad. This is standardized Unicode font. UNZ1. I've never heard of UNZ1. Oh, this is very beautiful. Like I have to like chase down the download. Like, where is it on this page? Oh, guess it's gone. Yes. Sorry, I'm a font hoarder. This is fun. Doesn't make for great streaming content, I realize. But this kind of shit for like branding type work is awesome. Yeah, so I think I probably got to jump off pretty soon, anyways. I know I've just kind of gotten sucked down this rabbit hole of downloading fonts for a while, but yeah, this kind of stuff I don't know. It's part of the process of just like organizing your assets. This is something I'm getting into with font base. I'm trying to like bucket my fonts because I just have so many right now that I'm trying to find like a good workflow to like navigate them all and properly utilize my catalog. He does not do himself favor with these like funky ass treatments he does. I think I already got this one. Oh, sneaky, putting it on the art. Dope. Yeah, like having like oh, there's fonts too? Oh my god. Oh, these are all like crazy. Script incidentally highlighting green fonts that are still unfinished but automatically vectorized without optimizing the contours. Okay, so that's why the kerning's fucked up, is like he's just putting these out, work in progress. I should really donate to this guy. Keeps going. But yeah, like organizing my fonts so I know how to like properly utilize all those assets. I spent a long time organizing like my Photoshop brushes and shit like that. Yeah, keeping organized is important. Just don't look at my desktop right now. That might be part of my day is going through that. But yeah, I do need to bounce and actually be productive. Okay. Yeah, I gotta bounce. I'll be back tomorrow morning. I'm gonna keep these pretty regular, I hope. Yeah, I'll have more of a plan tomorrow. Super great questions. Thank you to everyone who came through. Hopefully there was something useful in my slightly coherent rambling. But we learned about cat fonts. Thank you, Legend. This is gonna prove super useful for some stuff I'm working on. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. I will be back